We are now standing at the heart of the Christian quarter in a street known as Muristan. And behind me is a church built by Kaiser Wilhelm II when he comes here on his momentous state visit in 1898. The Church of the Redeemer is a German Protestant church. And since there are also Catholics in Germany, the Kaiser commissions building another church known as the Dormition. What I would like to point out about this church, at the facade, if we look up, what do we see? One of the symbols of Jesus, the sacrificial lamb. And this has everything to do with Christian theology. Who is the man behind Christian theology? It is another good Jew known as Saul of Tarsus, known better as Paulus or Saint Paul. He begins his career by persecuting the early Christians known as Nazarenes. On one of these persecution voyages, Paulus encounters Jesus after Jesus comes alive, and Jesus asks him, "Why do you persecute me?" Paulus loses his eyesight. He only regains his eyesight once he himself is baptized and becomes a Christian. Saul is held by the Romans here in Jerusalem for instigating troubles. But since he does have a Roman citizenship, he will be transported to Caesarea, the gateway into Judea at the time, and there he will be held for 2 years until being shipped to Rome. In those 2 years, Saul or Paulus exchanges letters with the early Christian communities. These appear in the New Testaments: Roman, Galatians, Corinthians, etc. And this is where basically he lays the foundation for Christian theology. According to Paulus, we are all born sinners because of the original sin committed by Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. And because of this original sin, we're all sinners, and there is death and suffering in the world. The role of Jesus is to come to this being, to this existence, and offer himself as a sacrifice so we will have a way to be redeemed of the original sin. Let's enter the church. We are inside the Church of the Redeemer, the Protestant church built by Kaiser Wilhelm II, inaugurated 1898. This is a Protestant church, and this is an opportunity to talk about splits in Christianity. The first one would be the Great Schism, when the Eastern churches break away from the Vatican in Rome. Later, a German lawyer and a monk known as Martin Luther goes and visits the Vatican in Rome, seeing all the corruption. The year is 1517. He decides that this is not the true spirit of the faith. And he goes back to his home in southern Germany and will hammer the 95 points that will become the foundation of what is known as the Protestant church. First of all, according to the Protestants, we are, each and every one of us is a temple. There's no need for an intermediary in the shape of the Pope or the hierarchy of the Vatican in Rome. And this is why what the Protestants have is a pastor. Okay, another thing that Martin Luther understands, since the Old New Testament was written in Latin at the time and no one could read it but the guys sitting in the Vatican, he decides to begin translating the New Testament to all languages so everyone could read the story for himself. For the Protestants, there is only one holy man. There is only one saint, and that is Jesus Christ himself. Even Mother Mary is not a saint according to the Protestants.